And I mean, it was pretty straightforward. It was easy. I had no complaints. They did frequent deliveries, and we charged people for them. And the one thing specifically, another point that I can add is that we also don't do a lot of equipment. Mm-hmm. And so with a lot of equipment, not only are we not buying it, if a resident were to need equipment, they would have to pay for it. Usually that would go through their insurance. And then they would bring it in, paid for or rented or whatever. We typically don't do equipment. And so we're not getting, like I remember we ordered a bunch of bladder scanners from McKesson when I worked in skilled. And that was great because not only did we know we had to pay for them, so we're just going to order them, but the vendor then provides a warranty, but all of that equipment, any sort of medical equipment has to be calibrated as well, and calibrated and tested at intervals. Mm-hmm. And so those larger suppliers also stand behind that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And so then that makes it, so if I needed to buy some equipment and it had to be, calibrated every 6 months, for me, it would make sense to go through a bigger company because they're going to be able to provide those resources, and that's part of already what they do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's helpful. So I'm curious, in terms of working with the various different vendors you work with, first aid supplies, flooring, all, chemicals, all of that. What would you say are the biggest, problems or unmet needs you have in managing those relationships?
I'd say the rep is a huge key. Mm-hmm. If the rep is if the rep is helpful and can solve my problems or can help, kind of like you're saying, present other things. Our rep from Cesco, I can call him and, no matter what's going on, he'll fix it. Even if it's like maybe we ordered something wrong and so the issue's on our end, mm-hmm. He'll still, fix it and, won't make any issue out of it. We had a handful of residents at one point who, even though they were buying a product that Cesco recommended for them, it still didn't seem to be solving the issue that it was trying to solve. And so he came in with like 10 different products and went through their whole lineup and went through all of, their vendors and spent, 2 hours trying to get this right so that, the right product was meeting the right need, despite what they had set in the future.
And tell me more about that. That sounds interesting.
And that's, I would say that's very helpful, and that's a big juxtaposition to like our restaurant supply vendor right now, who always sends us the wrong things. and then when we call her and we're like, hey, you sent us the wrong size. That's not what we ordered. And then her response is, yeah, I don't really like my job. Oh, okay. Huh.
As an actual response?
as an actual response, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's...
yeah. So, having a rep for a vendor who's willing to make sure that your needs are being met, like you said, I mean, that's probably the closest thing. If they're acting like your, strategic partner, and they're coming in and they're like, hey, we're your medical vendor and we want to be here for you, and here's my cell phone number, and, let's make sure everything goes right. And if it's not, no matter whose fault it is, call us, we'll fix it. That's very helpful because it's one of the things that I have to